You've got a lot of potential configuration in the storage area network to worry about, don't you? I mean, you've got things like network time protocol, call home settings, port security, radius and TACACs. You've got potential security implementations for your environment like a fiber channel domain allowed list. You have your syslog settings. Cisco Fabric Services, as you know, is the built-in mechanism for keeping all of these configurations synchronized across your fabric. In this nugget, you'll master verifying and potentially troubleshooting problems in Cisco Fabric Services. Now, Cisco Fabric Services is really pretty exciting, and especially when you consider that the fabric services can do their job completely out of band. Remember, whenever we see the acronym OOB, we know we are referring to out of band in a course like this, and this means moving that particular synchronization traffic outside of the data traffic pathing. And we'll talk more about this in a moment. Of course, what is Cisco Fabric Services all about? Your ability to synchronize configs, your ability to go to one of your, let's say, Nexus switches, make a configuration change to the fabric, and have it automatically propagate out to all of the other devices. This gives us a tremendous accuracy in our configuration as compared to going to each of these devices individually and trying to make the synonymous configuration. Cisco Fabric Services also provides for dynamic discovery. This is really neat because we want to be able to have the Cisco Fabric Services discover dynamically other capable switches and applications that we are adding to the network infrastructure. So we add another device, it's running one of the application services that our fabric is, it will dynamically be discovered and it will dynamically inherit the best practice configuration that we have made within the fabric. Now, you talk about going out of band with your distribution of this information. You could literally do this. Look at this. Let's say we have a fiber channel fabric 1, and then we have this fiber channel fabric 2, and we do have out of band IP connectivity between these two fiber channel infrastructures. Yes, you guessed it. You can run the fabric services information over this IP interconnect between these two fiber channel environments. So the fabric services communications will attempt to go over fiber channel. They can also go over IP. Obviously, they won't do both on one of your switches. So we're going to be using fiber channel itself in order to disseminate this configuration sync information, or IP, one or the other, but not both. When we are moving this information across an IP environment, great news. It could be v4 or v6 that we're doing this with. And keep in mind that when we are distributing this information, we are using a multicast keep alive mechanism behind the scenes in order to ensure the peer that we are, moving this information with is indeed still up and alive and able to receive it. And as I alluded to earlier, the number of different fabric service applications that can take advantage of these fabric services built into Cisco's technology is enormous. This is an extremely partial list. I just grabbed 6 of them here just to give you an idea. I mean, fiber channel timers can be set this way. Fiber channel domain allowed ID lists can be set this way. Port security, TACAX plus, NTP, global device alias. And these apps that can take advantage of Fabric services will either be enabled by default, so you don't have to really do anything in order to take advantage of the feature, or they'll be disabled. Now, it just so happens that all of these are disabled by default, and global device alias is an example of a feature that is enabled by default. So there's a lot of services, many services, apps that can take advantage of this environment, and you'll need to check for your particular application whether or not it is enabled by default. So yeah, that's a big first consideration as you want to trouble-free use Cisco Fabric services, and that is the app. What's its default state, enabled or disabled as far as the Cisco Fabric services go? If Cisco Fabric services distribution is disabled for one of your apps, that application is not going to distribute any configuration, and in turn will not accept a distribution from some other switch in your fabric. Now, when you go in to take advantage of Cisco Fabric services for a configuration change, the configuration modification process begins, and that particular application gets to lock the fabric. Then the pending database step kicks in, where we have a temporary buffer to hold your uncommitted information. Uncommitted changes, as you might guess, are not going to be applied immediately, and this ensures that the database is synchronized with the database of other switches in the fabric. When you commit the change, the pending database will overwrite the configuration database, which is also known as the active or effective database in your environment. Most of our applications are going to require an explicit commit operation in order to take things from that pending database and write it to the actual active database. And then, of course, there is a release on the lock on the fabric. The changes in this temporary pending buffer, therefore, don't happen until the issuance of the commit operation. So obviously a big part of our troubleshooting is seeing what's going on with applications and our Cisco Fabric services. And the command I absolutely love, show Cisco Fabric services application. Here we have NTP. And we can see that NTP is indeed enabled. And we can see that the scope of NTP would be the physical device, and it's capable of fiber channel and IP utilization. If we look at Fabric Services Configuration Manager, this particular service is indeed enabled, and this is a physical scope as opposed to a logical one utilizing the fiber channel infrastructure. So, show CFS application is going to be a key element in our troubleshooting here. Another very nice thing to be able to check, not only in the individual applications and their status in your fabric infrastructure, but how about your other switches and whether or not they are Cisco Fabric service capable? This is simple thanks to the show Cisco Fabric Services peers command. Notice there will be a display of the local device, and that will be flagged, and then you have your remote devices that are indeed Cisco Fabric Services capable. And then another of my favorites is the show Cisco Fabric Services lock command. This is obviously a way that we can verify that a distribution of a configuration is not in progress in the network for a particular application. So if the app doesn't show in the output here, we know that the distribution has indeed completed. By the way, another one of my favorite commands is show Cisco Fabric Services merge status name, and then you could do an application that you're having problems with, like port-security. This displays the merge status for your application. For an application that distributes in logical scope, the command will show the merge status and all the valid vSANs on the switch. Your statuses will be success, waiting, failure, or in progress. Finally, we realize that we break our Cisco Fabric Services down into regions. So commands exist in order to verify region configurations, and that would be show CFS regions or show CFS regions brief and then specify a particular region ID. So Cisco Fabric Services are indeed an awesome ingredient in the modern Cisco data center. We just want to be able to verify that they are functioning properly. And in this nugget, we took a look at some things that you would most definitely want to verify regarding Cisco Fabric Services, and we really reviewed the process of Cisco Fabric Services themselves. I sure hope this nugget was informative for you, and I'd like to thank you for viewing.